Hey, Brent McLaughlin here. I'm an editor on staff at O'Reilly Media, and I'm sitting next to Garth Braithwaite. And you have a whole lot of things you do, right? You host the RIA Radio podcast. You write. I know you've co-authored the Flex 4 cookbook from O'Reilly.
Yeah.
You actually work somehow, and on top of all that, you're the director of UX, right? User experience at Rain, a digital agency out of Utah.
Yeah.
And then I hear that you can juggle, throw knives, all kinds of stuff.
Mean Rubik's
Solve
Cube.
Rubik's Cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Now, I know today we're actually focusing on the flex portion of your skills. We're going to limit what we're going to talk about. Skinning. So skinning is like cloud computing to me. It's like web services. It can mean a lot of things. What does skinning mean in the Flex 4 world and kind of what we're dealing with?
Right. So Flex 4 is a big change from Flex 3. Flex 3 skinning was a matter of styling, right? Changing colors, changing fonts maybe here and there.
Right.
But Flex 4, we're actually have a new architecture built into the Spark components.
Okay.
So we can actually create these new skin components that completely change the look and sometimes even the layout of our components.
Okay.
So we get the same functionality from our base component, but
Right.
we can add a new skin and drastically change what we have.
Now, I think most people that come to the Flex world, like I have, either from a web programming world or even an OO world, but not in Flex, I think of skinning and layout as CSS. And you sound to be talking a lot more programming and kind of heavy lifting. So how does that play out?
Yeah, so there is CSS built into the Flex framework. We can actually use CSS. It's not exactly the same as HTML, but we will be using it to apply some of our skins and make a couple of property changes.
Okay.
But it's not the same. Skinning is kind of getting a ground zero start up sort of thing, and we can actually completely rebuild our component, or at least the visual aspect of it.
Okay. Okay.
While most CSS is kind of tweaking what's already there.
Right. So this is more of an overhaul of the look if we want it to be.
Right.
And we're starting with a wireframe, an existing application that's kind of wireframed out.
Right. So the layout's all taken care of it for us, and we've already got components set up where we want them.
Okay.
We might tweak them a little bit, but really we're just going to be applying new skins to them.
All right. Well, let's see what we're going to get into. So I know that you've got an application we're beginning with that we're going to skin. So give us just a real quick tour of where we are now.
Okay, so yeah, this is some stuff that we went over in the other videos, the creating Flex apps with Spark components.
Right, and that code will be available for download. So if people have watched that good or want to watch it, but then if they're starting fresh, you can pull this code up, right?
Right, and there's some hidden things in here that we don't have displaying, but for the most part, it's pretty basic. We've got our scroll bar here, scroll area. We've got an area here that we're going to put a logo into.
Right.
And we've got this button bar that right now is not doing anything.
Okay.
But eventually this will be our main navigation.
So this is very much like a wireframe pre any kind of visual UI. Like here are the components in the right spot, that kind of deal.
Right. Takes care of layout for us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And we've got our components all in there. And the way that Spark skinning is set up, or it's architected, it'll be very easy to create new skins and just totally redo the look of this without changing the original components.
Okay. So what are we going to, which I assume is going to look a lot more impressive?
Yeah. It'll look quite a bit different.
No gray boxes.
Right. And the big thing to note here is we actually aren't making any changes to what components we have here.
Okay.
With the exception of this artwork, which is a vector graphic here.
Right.
Everything else is the exact same components we had before. We're just changing the look of it.
Okay.
So.
And these buttons work now, right?
These buttons actually are wired up, so we can switch between views.
So there's that same contact form we saw before.
Right. We're not going to get into skinning this too much, but
now you can actually change things.
Right. And we'll cover all the principles so that you can skin this. You can go past it and skin everything.
Okay. And what's this little guy down here in the bottom?
So this is set up here for when we actually get a player put in. I mean, it is for a podcast, so we want people to be able to listen to the episodes. And we want them to have controls no matter what page they're on.
Oh, I see.
So we can leave it open, they can play, and they can listen
kind of a floating
through.
component, if you will.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it has the ability to open, they can change the controls, they can do that, and then they can close it up again.
And so this is sort of the CSS over HTML. We're not going to mess with the layout for the most part, I guess, other than adding that control.
Right.
We're just skinning.
Exactly.
Cool. Let's take a look.